I can still hear the clinking glasses from that night, like tiny hammers tapping against my ribs. Dad's voice cut through the room sharp, loud, and meant to sting. "Working in pajamas isn't a career," he said, standing there like he was performing for an audience. The table burst into laughter. Even my mom tried to hide her smile behind her wine glass. I didn't argue or react. I just stood up, pushed my chair in quietly, and walked out of the restaurant while their laughter followed me like smoke. That was the moment something old in me broke and something new woke up. Dad wasn't always the villain in my life. There was a time I chased his approval like sunlight. He used to take me fishing at dawn, telling me to look people in the eye and never hide who I am. I believed him back then. But I grew up and found my passion building things online, creating a remote business from nothing, working quietly and relentlessly. Dad dismissed it from the start. "Real men work with their hands," he'd say. "Not with that laptop nonsense." At first it annoyed me. Then it wore me down. But that night, when he mocked me in front of everyone, it actually hurt. Not because of the joke, but because the laughter felt like betrayal. Looking back, the signs were there: the way he tensed when I mentioned clients, the smirk when I said business was going well, the sarcastic congratulations. But 2 days after that dinner, I finally understood why. My uncle called. Dad's construction business, his pride. His identity was sinking fast. Messy loans, delayed projects, and desperation hidden under loud confidence. Suddenly, his mockery made sense. He wasn't laughing at me. He was hurting and looking for someone to spill it on. I sat in silence after that call, no anger, no pity, just clarity. For the first time in my life, I didn't see him as a father, but as a man trapped by his own pride. My plan didn't come from revenge, not at first. It came from the same thing he taught me on those dawn fishing trips: watch the water, and move only when you're ready. So I started digging quietly, not to rub anything in his face, but to prepare myself. I studied the market, bought a chunk of his company's debt from a lender who wanted to get rid of it, and took over a key supplier contract he depended on, using my company's name instead of my own. No drama, no threats, just smart, precise decisions. Each move tightened the net around him, not to crush him, but to force a moment of truth. By the second week, my position was strong. He had no idea the storm forming over him was one I controlled. Then came the knock at my door, a soft, hesitant sound I'd never heard from him. Dad never knocked gently on anything. When I opened the door, he looked smaller than I remembered, freshly shaved but unevenly. His shirt wrinkled, eyes tired. "Can we talk?" he asked. I stepped aside. He walked into my living room like it was a place he'd never expected to be. "I'm in some trouble," he finally said. He told me about the loans, the failing projects, the contracts that were disappearing. His voice cracked once, and he swallowed it quickly. "I need help," he said. "A partner, anything." When he finally looked at me, it wasn't from above, it was from below. For the first time ever, he was looking up at me. I let the silence hang between us. He took it as uncertainty. Then I slowly slid the folder across the table. Inside were all the documents, every acquisition, every piece of leverage, every lifeline he'd come to ask for with my name on them. His face went pale, not with anger, but with realization. "You," he whispered. I nodded, calm and steady. "This is what pajamas build," I said. He sank into the couch, his hands shaking, years of ego collapsing right in front of me. "I'm not here to destroy you," I told him. "But I'm not saving the version of you that mocked me either. If you want help, you face what you did." He didn't speak for a long time. Eventually, he picked up the pen and signed the partnership papers, giving me controlling interest in his company, the same company he once bragged I'd never understand. That moment was quiet but heavy, like the air itself shifted. When he handed the pen back, his hand barely steady, it felt like the closest thing to an apology I'd ever gotten from him. No words, but the truth was there. He needed me, and he finally knew it. Everything he dismissed had become the only thing keeping him from going under. That was months ago. The business is steady now, leaner, smarter, calmer. Dad still works there, but he reports to me. We don't say much during the workday. He avoids looking at me the way a soldier might avoid looking at the medic who saved him. But sometimes I catch him watching me, not with resentment, but with a respect I never saw from him before. Funny how quiet actions and clear boundaries can do what yelling never could. Some people learn through wisdom, others learn through consequences. Dad needed both, and I finally gave them to him. Sometimes I think back to that restaurant, the laughter, the sting, the way humiliation pushed me out the door. I realized now it was the final breath of the old version of our relationship, the version where he towered over me, and I tried to shrink to fit his approval. That night cracked something open, but it also cleared the way for everything that came after. Power shifted, perspective shifted, and in a strange, quiet way, we both changed, maybe not into better people yet, but into truer ones.